Cuyahoga County Democrats. Folks, I am in Ohio, Cleveland, and I am so excited. You know, I'm honored to be here with you tonight at your annual dinner. When I first walked in, I was like, is this a county party dinner? Y'all, our county party dinners aren't like this in South Carolina. Y'all came in and showed out. So thank you all for being here. I want to start off by thanking your County Democratic Party Chair, Dave Brock. Dave, this is the way to kick off your first chairmanship dinner. And I want to thank the vice chair. I want to thank all of the leaders of the County Democratic Party. Thank you for your involvement. Thank you for your support. I want to thank our Ohio Democratic Party leadership as well. Liz Walters and Andre Washington, the vice chair. Thank you all for the hard work that you do each and every day. Yes. I want to recognize some of our amazing speakers here with us tonight, and some of our leaders, Mayor Bibb, the county executive, Chris Ronayne, County Prosecutor Michael O'Malley, Senate Minority Leader Nikki Antonio. And I think we have some justices in the House as well, Melanie Stewart and Michael Donnelly. Thank you all for all your hard work. Yes, thank you. Now, y'all, they're back on the ballot, and we need to make sure that we give them all of the support and the love that we possibly can. So make sure you all do what you can, because we desperately need them. We are also honored to have Secretary Marsha Fudge's mom, who is in the house. Mama Saffel, thank you so much. But I want to say a special thank you to your Congresswoman, because she really is the hardest working Congresswoman in Washington, D.C. And I don't know if you all know this, but just recently, President Biden announced a list of his top 50 leaders across the country that he has asked to help ensure that he and Vice President Kamala Harris get reelected. And guess who is featured on that list? The Congresswoman from Cleveland, Shontel Brown. Because when y'all sent her to Washington, D.C., she didn't let any grass grow on her feet. She has continued, and you all know this, she was your county party chair, so you know how hard she works. You know how much she throws her whole self into her work. You know how much she loves and cares for each and every one of you in this room. And so when she called me up and said, Jaime, can you come and be a part of a dinner, a celebration that we have in our county party? I said, yeah, just let me know when. Because she has that level of respect. Because we adore Shontel. I know you all do, but I want you to know that she has a lot of good friends in Washington, D.C. Congresswoman, thank you for all you do each and every day. And you know, folks, I was just in Florida about 6 weeks ago, and I met with their new state party chair. And Florida was in a similar situation in terms of Ohio, because you remember a few years back, people were saying Florida, 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 as they were saying Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. But Florida, as Ohio has, just kind of wandered in the wilderness for a little bit. And now it's time to get out of the wilderness and find the promised land. When I went to Florida, I met with the leaders there. I met with Nikki, the state party chair, and I told her this. I said, Nikki, you're bringing new leadership to Florida, and I want you to know that the DNC will have your back. Well, just recently, my friends, in Florida, in Ron DeSantis' Florida, in a county in which he carried convincingly, we gave him a wake-up call. because now the new mayor-elect of Florida in Jacksonville, Florida, is a Democrat. Where the wake-up call is going to happen in Ohio is right here in Cleveland, in Cuyahoga County. You all are ground zero for the transformation of this state, moving it out of the red state column and putting it back into the blue state column. And just like I promised the Florida chair that the DNC will have their back, because y'all have somebody who is special on the ballot. You not only have Shontel Brown, who's on the ballot, but you also have Senator Sherrod Brown, who is going to be on the ballot. And I can tell you, folks, Sherrod ain't just adored here in Ohio, but all over this country. And I make a promise to you as well, that we will be there with you all every step of the way, that we have your back as well, because we need to send Shontel back to D.C. and Sherrod Brown back to the United States Senate. You know, 4 years ago, folks, President Biden announced his campaign for the presidency. And he announced by saying that we were in a battle for the soul of this nation. Today, President Biden and Vice President Harris have announced that they are running for re-election because they want to finish the job that they started. And folks, I want to put that into perspective. I want to put into perspective what that job has been and all the progress that our president and our vice president and Democrats in Washington, D.C. have made over the course of the past few years. We only need to think about where we were almost 4 years ago under Donald Trump. I know you're eating, and I'm sorry. But folks, remember, go back to the Wayback Machine. The pandemic was raging. You remember those long lines for people who just wanted to get a shot. People had lost their jobs and businesses were closing. The country was experiencing a racial reckoning. And we had just witnessed the worst assault on our democracy since the Civil War. I know you all remember it, because I do. Folks, that was the reality facing President Biden and Vice President Harris on day one when they took over the Oval Office. But our president and vice president, they didn't wallow. They didn't rub their hands saying, oh, what are we going to do? They rolled up their sleeves and they immediately got to work, along with our Democrats in the House and the Senate. They went to work and they delivered for the American people. What did they deliver, my friends? They delivered the strongest 2 years of job growth in American history. Over 12 million jobs created. Folks, that is more jobs created in 2 years than any president created in 4 years. And that included good-paying union jobs right here in Ohio. An unemployment rate near historic lows. And the record low unemployment for Black Americans. What else did they deliver? You all heard 45. He promised us every single week it was going to be infrastructure week. Y'all remember that? Man, there were potholes in South Carolina bigger than me. And they never got filled. Well, guess what? In this president's very first year, President Biden delivered an infrastructure decade with the largest infrastructure investment since Dwight Eisenhower. And that money, folks, is already being put to good use in our cities and in our towns, in our rural communities. Roads are being repaired. Bridges are being fixed. Potholes are being filled. Clean water, because those old lead pipes are being ripped out. Not just 10%, not 15%, 100% of the pipes. Internet going into our communities. No longer will our kids have to sit in the parking lot of a McDonald's, but they're going to have internet in their communities. What else did this president deliver? The most ambitious climate agenda in our history. An American manufacturing boom with over $435 billion worth of private sector investments. Folks, supply chains are coming back. And we are making things in America again. We're making them right here in Ohio. We're expanding economic opportunity across the country. Lower energy costs, lower healthcare costs, lower prescription drug costs. We have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for our seniors. But the president and vice president didn't stop there. He called on the drug companies to lower costs for everybody. And now, major drug manufacturers, representing roughly 90% of the entire insulin market, have heeded his calls and lowered prices to $35 for everybody. I remember when the president made a promise that I was particularly interested in. I was in Charleston, South Carolina when he made it. He was vice president at the time. He was on a debate stage with all of these candidates running for president. And on that debate stage, he said something. He said, if I am elected president of the United States, I will appoint the first black woman to the United States Supreme Court. And folks, you all watched the hearings. You saw how Republicans tried to demonize her. They called her everything but a child of God. But guess what they're calling her today? Madam Justice. This president has appointed more black women to the appellate courts than all presidents combined. Than all of them combined. And at the outset of his administration, President Biden appointed the most diverse cabinet in American history. And that includes Cleveland's very own Marsha Fudge at HUD. We've seen historic funding go to our historically black colleges and universities. Folks, $6 billion, that's billion with a B, going to our HBCUs. The first significant gun legislation in 30 years. He rallied the world to stand up against Putin and the fight for the future of democracy across the globe. And the list goes on and on and on. And he did this, folks, with the 50-50 Senate on a good day and a less than a 5-seat majority in the House of Representatives. He did this all the while managing the worst public health crisis in 100 years. I don't know what you call that, but I call that delivering. And you all know this. You've been studying politics long enough. Any one of those things would have been the centerpiece for a presidential reelect. But this president got that all done in 2 years. I don't know about you, but when I elect presidents, I actually want them to get something done. That's the number one requirement. But with all of that we have accomplished, folks, the stakes of this election couldn't be any higher. Our freedom and democracy are on the line, and they are under threat by MAGA extremists. Every single day, we're seeing extreme Republicans at every level of government attacking our fundamental freedoms as they race to the bottom and they try to roll back the clock on our progress. They're attacking women's freedom to make decisions about their own bodies. And they're pushing this ban to ban abortion on a nationwide basis. They want to make it harder for Americans to vote. And they're passing restrictive voting laws across the country. Heck, many of them still can't even accept the results of the last election. They literally cannot say that Donald Trump lost. Well, big secret, he did. These Republicans who love to roll themselves up in the American flag are fighting against the very freedoms that that flag represents. They're banning books right now and keeping Americans from learning our country's whole history. And they are fixated. They are fixated on targeting the LGBTQ and our trans youth. Folks, I don't remember there ever being an asterisk over the word freedom. But it seems like that's what the Republicans have. They want to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block. And they have voted against lowering the cost of prescription drugs. They simply do not care about helping our country's people. And that's the bottom line. So, folks, enough is enough. And we just can't let this happen anymore. And we won't let that happen. And this is exactly why President Biden and Vice President Harris are running for re-election. Because we are standing up for freedom. We're going to fight for America's freedom. For more rights, not less. We're going to fight for our democracy. When the founders said all people are created equal, we actually mean all damn people are created equal. You know, when we first sent the president and the vice president to the White House, many of us were filled with hope, filled with promise. Our country had been beaten and battered, but we knew help was on the way. And now, folks, I can't tell you how much pride that fills me to know that our president, to know that our vice president, to know Democrats like Sherrod Brown and Chantel Brown deliver on the hope with real results. They went to work for the American people, and they didn't look back. But that's what we do as Democrats. Democrats, we deliver results for the American people. And folks, we are just getting started. Now really isn't the time for us to be complacent. Now is the time for us to finish the job. You know, I want to close my remarks by sharing a story with you all. Telling you a story, and it's my story that I call my story of hope. As Chantel mentioned, I worked for Congressman Jim Clyburn. I was the first African American to run the whip operation for leadership in the House of Representatives. And so I had an office in the direct center of the United States Capitol. On one side, I shared a wall with John Kerry. On the other side, I shared a wall with John Lewis. And I often tell people that I will never have better real estate in my life. I could look out my window and see direct down the mall to the Washington Monument. And I just thought each and every day about this little round-headed boy from Orangeburg, South Carolina, sitting in this office. Well, there's one night I was in the office and I was working on some bills. You know, when Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, she works you hard. And we had a number of bills that we were trying to pass that week. And so I was there pretty late. It was well past midnight. And it was so late that the custodial staff started coming around cleaning up. And I saw this middle-aged African-American woman, and she was vacuuming. I see her walking by my door, and then she's wiping things down, and she'd look in the door every now and then. And then finally, I look up from my desk, because you know that feeling when somebody's looking at you. And I look up, and there she was in the doorway. And I said to her, I said, ma'am, do you need to come in? I said, you're my boss. I'll go out and work in the hallway. And she said, no, son, you sit right there. She said, you know, I love coming to your office. I clean up your office every night. I said, thank you, ma'am, I appreciate it. She said, now, are you from South Carolina? I said, yes, ma'am, I am from South Carolina. I'm from Mr. Clyburn's district. She said, oh, I love looking at the pictures on your wall. She said, let me ask you a question. Is this a picture of your family? I said, yes, ma'am, that's my family. She said, in this picture, is this a picture of your mother? I said, yes, ma'am, that's my mom. She said, is your mom's name Patricia? Yes, ma'am, my mom's name is Patricia. Patricia Harrison? Yes, ma'am, my mom's name is Patricia Harrison. And she put her hand over her mouth and she started shaking and she said, oh my God, I know your mother. I went to high school with your mom. I remember when your mom became pregnant with you and had to stop school in order to have you. Folks, tears started rolling down her face, and tears started rolling down mine. And she said to me, and she gave me this big hug, she said, I would have never thought that Patricia Harrison's son would be right here. You give me hope. My friends, that's the America that we are fighting for. One where no matter where you come from, no matter what your circumstances, no matter who you are, who you love, how you pray, but you still got a shot. We have to believe that that America still exists. We got to fight to make sure that America still exists, not only for ourselves, but for our kids. Where the Republican Party believes that our better days are behind us, we Democrats believe our better days are ahead of us. Where the superpowers of the Republican Party are fear and division, our superpower is hope. That is who we are, my friends. And in South Carolina, our state's motto is entrenched with this notion of hope. Our motto is, while I breathe, I hope. While I breathe, I hope. But friends, in my faith, it teaches us something. Teaches us something about faith and notions like hope. In the Bible, it teaches me faith without works is dead. And in life, I have come to realize that hope without action is never realized. And so, folks, we got to deliver on that hope. But in order to deliver that hope, we need some action. And that action is through another 4-letter word. Vote. So, my friends, for the next 2 years, or a year and a half, or until we get to August, and then even after August, our motto can't just be, while I breathe, I hope. But our motto must be, while I breathe, I vote, because that is how we bring hope to Cuyahoga County. That is how we keep hope here in Cleveland. That is how we bring hope back to Ohio. That is how we grow hope all across this great nation of ours. And we can do it, my friends, because we have done it before when the pundits said that you can't do it. The pundits told us in 2020 that an incumbent president doesn't lose. Well, guess what? An incumbent president is now golfing in Mar-a-Lago. When they told us in Georgia that Democrats couldn't win a runoff election. Hell, we didn't win one, we won 2. When they told us in 2022 that a red wave was going to come and sweep out Democrats across the country, we showed them that it is not about the history in the books. It's about the history that we can make. We had the best midterm election since 1934. I know, my friends, in 2024, Ohio is going to show them that you all can make your own history, that you can come back, and that all of the pundits will be saying on that night, because I want y'all to flip over to Fox News on election night. Flip over to Fox. Wait, not on the next election night. Go to the next morning. Yeah, you know, they get on that little funky couch in Fox and Friends in the morning. This is what I want you to do. I want you to get in your most comfortable robe. Your most comfortable robe. Get 2 donuts, because that's what I get. Get some coffee, and you can put some extra cream on top. sit there and relax and flip on Fox News. Now, they may have a box of handkerchiefs on the table, and maybe Sean Hannity is there too. And then on the bottom, you know, they have that little thing on the bottom where they put all the headlines, where they put all the lies about Democrats on the bottom. And on the bottom, it'll go, do, 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 do. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reelected in 2024. Do, 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 do. Democrats take back the House of Representatives. Those were the shots. This is a chaser. Do, 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 do. Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. Sherrod Brown reelected in Ohio, and Ohio goes blue one more time. Ohio, are you ready? Are you ready, Ohio? Folks, go to Costco, get those vitamins, suit up, and let's win this thing. Thank you all. Thank you for all that you do for this party. Thank you for the support for Democrats up and down the ballot. Thank you, Ohio.